Welcome to the bold analysis. What is happening, and I want to convince you in this podcast about midterm elections. I was talking to friends from US. They really understand best these midterm elections. Now in Kenya, we always had those midterm elections. Midterm election is the election in the first term of a president. Since 2002, the Kenyan political system has only been voting for the president once. Then the second term, actually Kenyans have been giving presidents one term, then they buy their second term. And there is a very clear, they buy and force through their second term. We'll get into that. There is a very clear signal that that Kenyans are getting fed up, and within no time, reality will come that the need to change guard of the nation is there. And what am I talking about? There are two video clips I want to play for you. I saw in Homa Bay, Omboko Milemba tried to speak about, was saying something about finance bill, and he was chased from Homa Bay because of coming out to support finance bill.
We are commissioning Rangwe and Rachonyo.
That was Boko Milemba in Homa Bay. Then last week, not even last week, I think it was over the weekend, Silvanus Osoro attended a football match in Guse Stadium, and in that stadium, immediately he arrived, he was again ejected from the stadium with Kenyans, the people that attended that, clearly saying that he should go and watch finance bill from his house. This MP, Osoro, was actually being pushed because of his stand on the finance bill, and he was ejected from the stadium unceremoniously before the game ended. He had to leave the stadium. So this is a very clear sign that people are fed up, and it will reach a time when this is just the first budget. And I know some political observers might make observation that it is Western Kenya. But then you need to ask yourself questions. How many votes did Ruto get from Western? In fact, let me tell you. The Western areas, the Kisii and Kakamega and Bungoma, the counties, the difference between Raila Odinga and William Ruto in the vote difference, disputed difference, was 200,000, and it was even disputed. So what we are saying here is that you cannot even underestimate what you might consider as a small margin. The moment revolution is not televised, and the moment you see a spree of where people are actually coming out to revolt, the areas that are politically smoothened, not that Mount Kenya cannot protest, but whenever the president is going there, the intelligence will go there to smoothen the ground, and some goodies here and there. And, people are bribed overnight so that they don't show a bit of that rebellion. But on a fair ground, Kenyans are feeling it. Why the 2027 election is very unique? I want to take you back to 2007. After Kibaki took over, he formed government alongside Raila Odinga and the team. he was really touted as a man that resuscitated the economy by then, even though that rule was also dogged by some corruption scandals. So by that time, the referendum came through and the ODM was bathed and people went to the 2007 general election. And Raila won that election. Squarely and fair. Raila won that election. Then we had to go for a negotiation for the second term. So Kibaki's second term, because he had to just negotiate his way through the arbitration. Fast forward 2017, election for the first time, the presidential results were thrown away by the court. And that's when the discussion about the server came through, until Uhuru Kenyatta's allies were on record saying that Uhuru was willing to give up on it, but Ruto was holding that it was a must they hold on. Then, due to the political tension and the betrayals, they had to go for that handshake. Still, the 2017 election, Raila had a big stake, and is really understood that he might have scooped it in the shackles of the deep state. But then, and even you see the kind of vigor even to go and do that swearing in himself, there's a lot of conviction that Raila scooped it. Is because, and if you look at between 2013 and 2017, Raila played critical opposition against government. Critical opposition against government. But I can tell you that if Ruto would have stuck, just even resigned from government and go to the other side of opposition, and go to this position that Raila normally was, that gap would have been more. But because he even remained in government, and even though he was calling himself an outsider, but he was in government, there was a bit of an understanding that, it's not it. The other day when I interviewed some gentleman from Kikuyu, he was telling me that some old Kikuyus are saying they voted for Ruto, but they knew Raila was going to be the president, saying that Raila should fight for them, because even though they voted for Ruto, but they knew Raila would be the president. Now, come to 2027. We also have a midterm election, an election in the president's first term. William Ruto's first budget has been seen extensive public participation and people coming out to say, no, this is not what we wanted, or rather this is not what we expected. And people come out to oppose, say, we don't want it. So it's very clear here that even 2027 is not going to be a walk in the park. Now, why I'm saying William Ruto's first term and will be the only term is because of these three reasons. Powers against regime regrets, regroups. When you get power, you fight sharing. When you miss it, you sit back and blame each other. But in that sharing, not all of us can get it. I understand there are powers and forces that have missed some very big lucrative tenders. There are some campaign pledges that were to be kept and were never kept, and maybe have not been kept. There are quite a lot of loose ends in the political circle. And that normally opens an avenue for the powers against regime to regroup and hit. Look at what Jimmy is doing. Jimmy Wanjigi has come out clearly to explain about the debt. And he's on record saying we have overpaid our debt. The last years, we have actually overpaid our debts. It's because the powers shall gonna converge. There are commercial interests that are playing. The people that coalesced around William Ruto are leaders that believed Uhuru Kenyatta was against them. And that's the same ideology that applies here. Number two is there seems not to be a tangible change, especially in town centers. I've seen rural counties, hospitals being built, and I saw one in Kirinyaga, Nyawalaya, Gladys Wanga is also doing some amazing work there. The stadium, Radio Stadium in Homa Bay, it's really doing well, of course. But how about the town centers? There is normally a lack of tangible change. Now, to William Ruto, it's actually real because he campaigned on a platform of an overnight change or overnight success, and immediately left Kasarani. He would go and sign, make some executive powers, return the port back to Mombasa. Within 3 months, launch Hustler Fund. But all these things have no effect. There have been zero effect, the ripple effect in the ground. And because people are not seeing change, there is a very deep understanding kwamba tumedanganywa. We were cheated. Recently, the other guy was doing a song about Mama Mboga and he was saying, naming those members of cabinet, whether those sons are Mama Mboga. So the fact that people are cheated is becoming real. And for that lack of tangible change, tangible impact in the community, it is most likely that it's going to be a very difficult one. That's why I agree with Azimio Umoja that William Ruto will most likely want to midwife everything, even in terms of that IMBC reconstitution. He would actually want to midwife everything. And unless they hold in it, it's not going to be very easy. With misuse of state machinery, it normally hits the population. When you use state machinery, it makes the population become very vulnerable, weak, and sought empathy to the opponent. There is a Sabasaba coming, and that is the second phase of mass action. The first phase of mass action was characterized by excessive use of force, was characterized by people being shot, by a lot of mudslinging, and the kind of brutal force on protesters is something that really shocked this country. So in your first term, you normally tend to be in control. You don't want the voices of dissent. And whenever there is an attempt, you try to suppress. And in the use of state machinery, the Kenyan masses seems to swing against you. So I really have a strong feeling that I wish President Ruto will get together some of these few things. The more you unleash the police on the population is becoming vulnerable and seeing weak and they're feeling okay. So it means we have hope in the other candidate. Because in this country, we've never had a president that has served 2 terms elected by the Kenyan people. Kenyan people do elect once. But the second term is one that is normally bought and hired and everything else is done. That's my take. Let's meet in the next.